I'm Paige Buck with Kennedy Events, and I'm here with my colleague, and we are talking about ways to make the snooze-fest virtual event feel actually exciting and memorable. So I'm so curious to hear some of the stuff that you've been learning and what's been working with our clients.
Right off the bat, I want to be like, I have a list of what not to do. It's a lot of, relearning. I have like this brilliant cadre of vendors that I loved for live events. And so one of the fun things is I'm getting to explore and learn about new vendors and new experiences, and also understanding that it's not completely translatable, right? So everything that worked brilliantly in live events is not going to necessarily work well in a virtual event. And so there's some things that I probably would not have given a second thought about for a live event. And now I'm bringing it into a virtual event and I'm so excited about it.
Okay, so what's one of those that you would have thought was like, I don't know, weird, not appropriate, not a fit for a live event, but is now super cool?
Initially, I was like, oh, I don't think like a band or a DJ doesn't really translate that well. But you know what might be working is an illusionist. I heard about an illusionist. And so that's kind of like a mind reader. So okay. I don't know
the type of magician that like says there's somebody in the room who.
Exactly. Yeah. And my knee-jerk reaction is like, this is going to be kind of hokey. But by the end of like engaging with this mind reader illusionist, I was so charmed and just like, I was like, I want to hire you immediately because I can tell that you're going to be so engaging to an audience. And that's something that it does translate well, like on a flat screen. Right. So when I talked to him, he was actually like, imagine how much change you got when you went to 7-Eleven. And I told him, and then he pulled it out of his pocket, this piece of paper that was just sitting there the whole time. So
no way.
Like it's like you like any of those little things that will kind of like delight you.
Yeah. It's like that article you and I were just discussing about how things have to be 10 times as engaging. And one of the ways to do that is to bring a surprise element in. Certainly, I feel like the nature of illusionists and magic is for people to be like, okay, show me something I haven't seen before, and then be blown away by the experience. How do we articulate to our clients and how do we help people understand why they want this in this moment?
That is such a great question. We have so many clients that are coming to us and saying like, we know that we need something like this. We know that we want this. They have no idea how to kind of wrap their minds around it. So we really are kind of being like their Sherpas and guides through this.
Right. Like I know I don't want it to be another Zoom, another webinar, but what else is there?
Yeah. And I think ultimately you have to pause and just think about like how everybody's just kind of thirsty for like enriching engagement and kind of that sense of community. I don't know about you, but I miss you and I miss my colleagues.
I miss you too. I mean, I see you all the time, but not in the flesh. And,
I know.
And it's just work, work, work.
So it's a great value for companies to invest in these internal company events. So thinking about company picnics or retreats or, even holiday parties of just a way to keep your team connected and engage with one another. It builds loyalty, it builds positivity for your company, and, making sure that they're being recognized for like the work that they're doing is invaluable to, the firm. So, and another thing is like, if you have really great talent, like make sure that you're retaining them. Let's talk about return on investment on there. Like retain them by like showing how valued they are as being part of the team.
Well, we've heard like in pre-COVID times that one of the big reasons why people do corporate picnics and holiday events is not just to like appreciate the colleague and the staffer, but to help their spouse who gives away so much of their spouse's time to the company.
Right.
If the spouse loves the brand and loves the colleagues and loves the work, then they are much more appreciative and much more likely that person's likely to stay with the company longer. And this is another time and place where we have to find a way to translate that into something meaningful digitally.
Absolutely. And we're also looking in like, how are we, you're at home with your kids. So how are we bringing in like engaging activities for kids too? Like we just did an event where we had a guy, he showed off his pythons and lizards. And, so it's like we're incorporating activities for children as well, which I think is a really like a fun thing to do. It's like you can have your cocktail and see your mind reader, and then your kid has an activity that they can engage in.
Like set up in another room on another
Mhm.
laptop. We give the instructions for that, and you can have your kid engaged and have a kid-friendly snack box shipped to your house as part of this whole experience. Yeah. Okay, I want to talk about my favorite thing, the liquor. I want to talk about mixology. I want to talk about having a virtual happy hour that doesn't feel like another Zoom happy hour with your friends.
Yeah, we have an incredible vendor that we've been partnering with, and like they have got it figured out. It's like all of us kind of had to hustle to figure out like how are we going to change events, and this vendor has like really hit the nail on the head and like seeing the need, right?
Yes.
And delivering these incredible cocktail tips where they've got a brilliant, talented, and dynamic mixologist who's kind of leading all of the attendees in these breakout rooms where you're mixing your cocktail together. They can like imagine it like a Zoom call and you like get unmuted, right? Paige, you've attended one of these. How fun was it?
So shockingly fun because I don't know, again, kind of bringing that jaded, like if you've seen one, you've seen them all to events, but then I'm watching how engaged all of my fellow attendees are. And we're watching how our clients hear the responses from whether it's an internal gathering and it's how happy everybody was afterwards, or as you've brought up, this is an awesome thing for sponsors. And so, at the higher end package, we can ship the liquor and all of the ingredients that go along with a really beautiful cocktail experience. You get the lesson, and then they get this like gorgeous branded cocktail shaker with your sponsor's brand. And we can have like the backdrop or elements behind the mixologist while they are taking you through this craft cocktail experience. The sponsor has their brand behind it. So it's like a double win.
It's one of my favorites is to incorporate that for fundraising events. And, for like the VIPs even, like maybe you don't want to ship cocktails to your 500 attendees, but maybe you've got your like 50 top donors and you want to do something really high touch and special for them. Let's get them liquored up before we bring in that auctioneer, right?
And the last thing that's on my mind is games and what like a corporate team game experience feels like.
This is another one of those things that I was a little bit wary of and that I really had to do a little bit of research and digging. And I have been just completely delighted at like what are these like gaming opportunities out there. There's a firm that we started working with that has these really like kind of like witty and charming MCs who kind of like act as the facilitators, and you get broken into different groups. And so it's like teams competing against each other, but you can see each other. So you kind of have like your little icon of your face. And it's kind of like quiz show style. So it's not just one, like it could be a trivia and then it could be a riddle.
And it's like Family Feud style or.
Exactly. And the other thing that I really love about this is the ability to customize it.
Uh-huh.
Right. So
customizing the questions, like customizing the
questions, but also, like maybe we want to poke fun at the CEO. And so we're going to have like a question about the CEO in there or something like that. So I think like, it goes back to like bringing that sense of like camaraderie to groups. And the games also work really brilliantly for sponsors and like sponsorship packages.
Well, because these can be graphic rich, right? Like you can have a brand on a leaderboard. People can see some motion happening, like who's winning, who's falling behind.
Yes, I love the leaderboards. I'm glad you brought that up.
Very cool.
Big fan of that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's just so much. There's so many different ways that we can like spice things up.
We've kind of cherry picked who is going to be the best for these curated virtual event experiences. And I'm really, really excited about all of the like vendors and talent that we have queued up.
Truly, like in this moment where everything's gone virtual, the thing that makes me so happy is seeing like in the chat and in emails post-event, everybody saying, wow, oh my God, that blew me away. Or like, that was delicious. Or that was amazing. And they really, you're making a big impact when someone takes the time to say that right now.